Hey guys, I'm Violet, it's Monday, so let's talk. This week we're going to be talking about our coming out stories, and I'm just going to give you sort of like an explanation of how I came out and then also give you sort of general advice and tips surrounding it. It all started when I was quite young. I was a very stereotypical young lesbian because I was just a hardcore tomboy. I wouldn't play with anything that was girly related. I would always play football, I would always play with like action men, I would always want boys. Again, boys' toys. Never really want any girly things, except from sometimes I did play with Barbies, but I mostly just cut their hair off and then rip their heads off, so I don't really know what that says about me. When I was a lot younger, I was very sort of confused with who I was, like maybe around about the age of 5 or 6. I actually did ask Santa Claus one year if I could grow a penis, and that really strikes me now as an adult, because obviously when I was younger, I didn't know the difference between gender and sexuality because we hadn't been taught anything about it yet, and obviously I knew that something was different. I knew that something wasn't right. Like I honestly thought that I was going to grow a penis, and I maybe thought that up until I was about the age of 10 when I actually found out what the genitalia is for male and female. At that point I sort of started to understand it more, and I was like, right, okay, I'm a female, that's fine. Then I just kind of moved on from it. I was just kind of like, cool, that's who I am. And sort of a couple years later I saw a programme and it featured a bisexual person on it. I had no idea what a bisexual was, I had no idea what a lesbian was, I didn't know what gay was, I didn't know anything about it. And in this programme they sort of briefly just mentioned that they were bisexual and what that meant. Now I only had sort of a brief understanding of it, I never looked further into it, I just kind of heard it and I was like, that could be me. But even at that point I didn't really know who I liked, I just knew that it wasn't guys. Everyone in high school has like crushes. All the girls are like, oh that boy's so cute, and all the guys are like, oh that girl's so cute, and I was just kind of sat there like, I don't know what's cute. So I just kind of went with it. I just kind of like pretended, oh yeah, that boy's cute, and then I actually ended up getting a boyfriend when I was 16, and at this point like I liked him. I didn't know how much I liked him because we were friends for a really long time, and then we just kind of started dating. It wasn't anything serious, it was just one of those high school like romances that lasted a month and I broke up with him. But it made me realise that I didn't want to be with a boy. I thought that at first it was just I didn't want to be with him, but as I sort of started to think about it more, it made more sense that I didn't want to be with anyone that identified as male. It just wasn't something that I was attracted to. At this point I really started to think about my sexuality. I really started to really question it, and I actually went online, I went on YouTube and watched probably every coming out video that you can get. I also went on to sort of online forums and was looking up LGBT plus blogs and things like that, and that really did help because it made me feel like there was other people out there obviously that were going through the same thing, because I felt so alienated that I didn't feel the same way that other teenage girls did about Edward Cullen, because I was totally all about Kristen Stewart but I just didn't admit it to myself. It made sense that I was gay, and the more that I looked it up, the more that I researched it, the more it sounded like it was me. But at this point I didn't know anyone else in my personal life that was out or who was gay, and accepting myself was probably the hardest part just because I felt so alone. But that all actually changed because when I was around about 16 or 17, I had been questioning my sexuality for a while at this point. I just didn't want to admit it to myself is basically what was happening. I was just stuck and I didn't know what direction to go in until one of my best friends at the time actually came out to me. She came out as a lesbian, and then that kind of flipped a little switch in my brain to be like, oh, okay, so other people that I know are like me. There's actually someone there that is feeling the same things that I do, and that was the biggest relief for me. And at this point it just sort of completely changed my viewpoint on myself, because I was like, well, she's happy and she's gay, so I can be happy and I can be gay. So she told me that she was gay, and I didn't say anything to her about my sexuality at this point. I did wait a couple of months until I fully knew what I wanted to label myself as, and I told my best friend, and I don't actually remember how I told her, and I've talked to her and she doesn't remember how I told her either. So I mean, it must not have been that big of a deal, because I probably just said, yo, I'm gay, and she probably went, cool, let's go get a McDonald's. Because she was the first person outside of myself that I managed to get the courage to tell. That was a huge weight off my shoulders because I'd been building it up, and I thought that it was going to be this massive thing that changed our friendship drastically, but it wasn't. So moving on, I did then start to come out to like my other friends gradually, and it was only a select few people that I told because I didn't really have like that many friends, and I didn't really care what the other people thought. I just thought about the people that were close to me thought, and it was never a big deal. we just kind of went on with our lives, and that was that. And now 6 months after I actually sort of came out to my friends, I came out to my mum. Coming out to your parents, I think it's sort of different from telling your friends. Well, me personally, I'm closer to my friends than I am my family, and I feel like I can tell my friends more than I can my family. Now, I know that's different for a lot of people, but that's just my own personal feelings in regards to that. So I remember coming in one night and I just had this overwhelming feeling that I needed to tell her. Like, I hadn't planned it really. It was actually right in between Christmas and New Year's, and I can't remember what I was doing, but I just came in and I was just like, I need to tell her. So I sat in the living room and I got my phone out and I actually wrote down what I wanted to say. And then my mum came in and she knew that something was wrong, because I was sitting there like really quiet, really reserved, and just obviously I just sort of seemed a little bit different. And she came in and she was like, what's wrong? I couldn't say it. I just couldn't find the words to say. Even though I'd written it down and I was looking at it, I just didn't know where to start. So I ended up just giving her my phone and actually leaving the room, and I was just like, can you read that? And then I just left. So I ran to my room and I started bawling my eyes out, and I think that was just because I was relieved. I'm not really sure why. I think I was just upset but relieved that I'd finally taken that step to telling her. And a couple minutes passed and I was just still bawling my eyes out, and then she came into the room. The first thing that she said was, I love you. And because that could have went so many different ways, and I know that not everyone's parents are totally for it or they don't understand it. It did take my mum a while to come around to it, but she did just say I love you, and that was all that I needed to hear. If you're in an unsafe environment, if you think your parents won't accept it, don't come out. You don't have to come out. It's not something that's required. I actually never came out to anyone else in my family. My mum actually did that for me. She pretty much called everyone and texted everyone and just let everyone know. That was something that I thought that I was going to have to do, and my mum was just the first person, and I had a ton more to go, but she was just like, do you want me to tell everyone? I was like, yeah, please. Everyone's been absolutely fine about it. But the day that I came out, basically my two sisters and one of my aunts actually came over, and they came into my room one by one, and they just came in and they were like, Rachel, I love you. And then we talked, and then they left, and then it just, nothing changed. So that's sort of my initial coming out story. When you're gay, when you're part of the LGBT plus community, you have to come out pretty much every day. I come out to pretty much everyone I meet if I'm going to sort of be friends with them, or if I'm going to see them on a day-to-day basis. And the majority of them are cool about it. I've never ever had a bad experience. One of the hardest things for me obviously was coming out to myself, but it was also coming out after high school, because at the point when I came out to my friends and my family, I was still in high school and I was very comfortable with the people that I was surrounding myself with. 6 months later, school finished and that was it. I mean, I still had my friends, I still had my family, but I was going to be moving on to somewhere else where I had to come out, because basically I was starting college, and obviously if I'm spending so much time with a big group of people, just like in school, I would eventually have to tell them. And I was absolutely dreading it, because I'd just built this safety blanket of people and I had all these friendships that were absolutely amazing, but I was so terrified to move on from that and to basically start a life outside of school. But you know, over time I sort of bonded with people that were there, and they were absolutely fine about it. When I eventually did come out, they were just like, cool, let's go get pizza now. And I still come out a lot, but it does get easier. But now when I come out, it's more like, oh hey, I'm Violet, I like to play guitar and I'm also a lesbian. And I'm just sort of more confident with me, and I'm very happy about my sexuality and what I identify as. And just sort of general advice that I would give to people who are still closeted. Again, you don't have to come out, it's not a requirement. You do it when you feel safe, when it feels right, when you feel comfortable doing it. Don't feel like it's like you're gonna have to do it, because it's just something that is part of you. You don't have to necessarily shout it from the rooftops, you don't have to tell anyone until you are ready. But yeah, that's about it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you stick around for more content like this. Make sure to check out everyone else's video on the channel this week. Everyone will be sharing their coming out experience or coming out tips and things like that. So remember to like, subscribe and comment and stuff like that. I've been Violet, you've been you. It's been Monday, so I'll see you next week.